Because we attract the energy we attract what we are. As you're trying to climb out of that bucket as the crab, right, and all these other crabs are trying to pull you back in, remember that if the crab were something bigger, were another animal, or it were a person stepping out of the bucket, the crab, he could just reach down and just push off the crabs. My point is, if you're still a crab, the crabs can pull you back down. Once you no longer identify with any of those old labels, once you learn to think differently and to move differently and to just be better and be more confident, it's an ever-repeating cycle. Test. This is the first video in my series of videos titled, What Your Dad Never Taught You. So if you're anywhere between the ages of 15 and 25, you probably have thought about, or at least should be thinking about, what you would like your life to look like. You're at a very important age right now where you have the chance to sit down and write out a plan. Get ridiculously specific with what it is you want out of your life. Okay? And I think a lot of people, they get funneled into college or they get funneled into whatever their next step in life is without ever considering what they find fulfilling, what they find purpose in, okay? Go ahead and get out a notepad, get out something to write with, right? And I want you to do this physically. Take out a physical notepad and write down, what are the top 5 most important things to me in my life? Go. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, when you've written out those 5 things, make sure that they're in order of importance. Then ask yourself the following question. If you never had to worry about money again, what would you do? How would you spend your time? Write that out. If I never had to worry about money again, how would I spend my time? How would I spend my life? The answer might surprise you if you've never thought about this before. I think there's going to be a little bit inside of you that already knows the answer to this. Maybe you've always wanted to start a business. Maybe you find interest in some specific area of labor. Maybe you're a really good coder and you know how to work together with AI to create some awesome website or app or something. Everyone is good at something, okay? Maybe your thing is writing. Let me tell you a little story. When my dad got out of college, he worked for a time for the American military, just as a civilian, and he was designing different technology for them. After a little while, he discovered that wasn't something he really loved. That wasn't something that he was passionate about. And most importantly, it didn't give him the sense of fulfillment or the life freedom that he was actually looking for. So he ended up packing up my whole family, all of his things. He quit his job and he moved to the other side of the country where I was raised. And he ended up starting his own business writing, okay? He had a degree, keep in mind, in engineering, and this was something that he'd never really considered. Started writing. It was a very kind of niche thing. He wasn't a book author. I don't get too specific with it, but he was a writer. And it ended up making him much more money than he would have ever made in the other sector, okay? Point is, you need to have these thoughts. You need to be thinking about this stuff so that your brain has material to work off of. Because let me tell you something. Some of your best ideas, some of your light bulb moments, things when, moments when it just clicks in your life of, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Those things happen after you've had those original thoughts. Okay, so ask yourself these open-ended questions. Ask yourself to get really specific in your mind with it. And then go a couple days trying to keep these things in the back of your head. And you will see that the ideas, they start to flow. Okay, maybe you wake up in the middle of the night and you thought of something else. You're outside the grocery store, you're dropping your sister off at school, whatever it might be. Okay, suddenly you're just gonna have a moment where something just clicks. You somehow have an idea. Okay? Now let's say that you have your life purpose basically sketched out. In some sort of way you have made the progress you've arrived to where you have sort of fleshed out an idea of what it is you want to do. Your next step is going to be something that takes quite a while, anywhere from 6 months to 6 years or more, okay? You are going to learn every single thing you can about that area. You are going to just dive headfirst. I'm going to give myself an example. When I was younger, I was super into airplanes, okay? And I would finish my schoolwork and go hop on, back then it was Google Earth Flight Simulator, GEFS, okay? It later changed to Google Earth Online Flight Simulator, I think. I would hop on there, try all the different airplanes. I loved learning all about it. I loved virtually being there, okay? I thought it was great. My dad, recognizing that was something I was into, set up an interview with a family friend about what being a pilot entailed, okay? And I was probably, 12, 13 years old. I wrote down a list of questions when asked this corporate pilot, all these questions. And so then, as I was going throughout high school, and I did a mission trip, and I came back, and I thought, what is it that I'm going to go into? I already kind of had a base of something that I'd been into for almost 10 years at that point. I went and took a discovery flight, and I thought, I'm going to go into flight school. And that's where I am. I'm currently in flight school. The learning period is probably one of the ones that takes the longest, okay? But that discovery is really important. I don't want to gloss over that. Discover what it is you love, what you're passionate about, and write down specific steps, specific ways that you want your life to be like in the future, and then go after that. And it's not a one-day thing. I'll give you a little hint, though. It's going to be something that motivates you basically all the time, okay? It's going to be kind of internalized within you. So like you're having a tough day, you don't want to get up for class, for example, or maybe you're starting your business and you're just like dealing with all the just little stressors of this. It's going to be something that you can come back to time and time again. You'll know that you've chosen the right thing if even at the end of a long day or a long week or whatever, you're still able to look back and be like, yeah, this is what I want to do. It's still motivating. It's still giving you more than it's taking from you. Does that make sense? The last thing that you could want is to just kind of get funneled the way everyone else is doing things. And let's say even everybody else's, okay, I'm giving this hypothetical them, their best case scenario works out for you. You are going to be in a world of hurt, okay, just like insanely upset when you wake up and realize, wow, I'm making 5 or 6 figures one day doing this. I spent years of my life dedicated to this vocation, learning all about, I don't know, finance or being a doctor. I went to medical, whatever it might be, right? That maybe you don't actually have passion for. It doesn't matter how much that paycheck is. If you are not able to enjoy your time outside of work or at work, you know, and you're still not, you don't feel good all the time. You're just kind of like dreading coming back into work, or you're dreading the next thing. There is no paycheck big enough to make that worth it, in my opinion. Okay. With very limited exceptions. Same thing if, you know, you look at some creators that are willing to do things to put their name out there, and the way that they seek fame, the way they seek money is not morally correct. It's not morally just, okay? If you're hurting other people to make gains, if you're tricking, lying, deceiving in some way, it's gonna come back, okay? There's a price for everything. And so people like that, you gotta ask yourself, are they really happy? Is that how I wanna live my life, okay? At the end of the day, the things that you most want, freedom, okay, both financially, independence, like locationally as well, and just being able to wake up and not have anybody on your back telling you where you have to be or what you have to do. I can't make it clear enough how nice that is, because I've kind of been on both sides of the fence now, having my own business, being in school on my own terms, having a loving fiance that we're about to get married here. Okay, that side of life beats the other side of like working like a dog under somebody else's name in something that I didn't care about and I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I've been on that side too. It ain't fun. Okay, and there's a way out, but the only way out is to discover what it is that actually motivates you and then take direct steps to make that happen. You're gonna have to meet some people that will give you help that you probably haven't met yet. Okay, you're gonna have to just take some somewhat uncomfortable steps, but you can choose your discomfort. And that's the beautiful thing, is it's also never too late to change. So if you're watching this and you're 15 and you're like, man, this guy has some interesting things to say, I should start thinking about my future. I should start thinking about what kind of life and family quality, things like that I want eventually, then that's good, okay? But if you're 35 and you already maybe have a wife, or you're divorced, or you already have a family, or you're still living with your parents and you're just playing video games 22 hours a day, eating like trash, you haven't been to the gym in ages, things like that, there's a way out. It's not too late. It's genuinely, your ideal life is probably between 2 and 7 years away, okay? I would argue that most people are in, with very rare exceptions, you know, a pretty great position to start. The best place you can start is a couple years ago, right? But the best place you can start right now is right now. So kind of let this be a catalyst to say, you know what, I need to make some changes, and this is what it's gonna start with. Okay, so you're in the discover phase, then you're in the learn phase. Let's say you learn and, you know, and you're going, there are certain things during the learning phase that are going to make your life a whole lot easier. Honestly, in every phase, that there are certain areas and certain habits that it doesn't matter what you do as a career. It doesn't matter what you find necessarily most compelling or most fulfilling. There are certain areas that you should know are going to abundantly bless your life, enrich your life, whatever it is you do, okay? Number one, I would say, is have a relationship with your creator, okay? There is a God. And I know that. And if you don't know that, you can go to him in prayer and ask if he exists, right? But let me just say this. Whatever it is you believe about God, whatever religion you're interested in, jump fully into that and explore your spirituality, especially as a young guy, young gal. It's so important to just dive fully into that and learn to have a relationship with prayer and studying the Word of God. Okay? And it's something that has helped my life so much. Okay? It gives you purpose, it gives you hope, it gives you charity or love for those people around you. You see them as brothers and sisters, as truly people who have just as much value as you. Okay? Number 2, I would say, is physical fitness. That is something that is becoming, I would say, less and less slept on. There are many people who understand how important it is, but still so many guys you see have these desires to get a girlfriend or or succeed in a career or make life-changing goals like writing a book or running a marathon or things like that. And they haven't even thought about how their physical fitness is tied to that. Everything you do, how much energy you have in the day, is up to the food you eat and how you train to keep your body fit, keep your body stronger and better than it's ever been. I'm currently in about the best shape I've ever been in my life, okay? And I know that I have so far to go, and yet at the same time, it's motivating to me every time I go into the gym, because I realize, wow, today I'm running further than I ran yesterday. Today I'm lifting heavier than I've ever lifted, right? And there's something about that I would say for anybody, it can just, again, make your life so much sweeter. That energy, how much discipline it takes. Discipline is being able to stick with something even when everything in you, your emotions, everything is telling you, I really don't want to do this. And that is something that is incredibly important in all aspects and areas of your life. And it's something physical fitness can teach you really, really well and really quickly too, okay? When you know that you're doing 3 sets of 8 reps and you're on the second set and you have 6 reps under your belt and you know, this is really going to suck, but I'm going to do those 2 final reps to finish this set. It takes repetition in your brain, doing that again and again for it to click. And it's still worth it. It's awesome, okay? Another thing is you need to learn how to learn, okay? I don't mean how to get good grades, because that could be an important life skill as well, depending on what career, whatever thing you go into. But I've never been too good of a grades guy. I'm kind of a 3.55 GPA kind of guy. That's okay. And what I'm doing, GPA and grades don't necessarily matter as much. What matters in every basically area is being humble and being willing to learn, okay? Whatever area you go into, there's always more to learn. There's always somebody up on that next hill above you that has already gone through what you're about to go through. Be humble enough to go to them and to learn. Be humble enough to go online and gather in new information that will abundantly bless your life, okay? Learning how to learn and then being a lifelong student of the world around you, it is going to make you insanely just well-rounded, okay? That ties into number 4, which is the other thing that's going to bless your life. Look, back in the day, things were a little different, in a very traditional, let's say, home sense. A lot of the times, the women would stay at home and wash and clean and do all that, and the men are out working or whatever. The world's a lot different now, and that's totally okay. What I want you to know is that as a guy, even if you do find a woman eventually who's willing to clean all the time and cook and has a great work ethic and is willing to put up with you, it's going to help your life a lot to know all of those basic skills. I'm talking about everything from tying a tie and buttoning back on a button on your shirt, to changing your own oil, to putting new tires on your car, to jumping a car, to being the best cleaner of anything in your house, knowing what products work, what they do, where to buy them, and cooking a basic meal. Know how to boil water, how to cook an egg, how to make a really good steak. These are things that you can literally learn in like a day or less, most of these things. And they're things that you're going to be the multi-tool. You're going to be the friend that you're able to get called. You're going to be the guy that takes a girl on a date and she's like, I've never had food like this. Now we're going to hop into something else that during the learn phase, you could really benefit from. This is a healthy relationship. Finding a great person to be in a relationship with often comes down to you being the most obvious choice for that person. First impressions matter, and you don't have to be perfect, and that person's not going to be perfect, but you want them to go out on a date with you and be like, how is this person still single? And genuinely get to know you and be like, wow, they have so much depth, and he's so kind and caring, but yet smart and brave, and I feel safe walking with him late at night in the city, but I also feel safe telling him about my most vulnerable things. If you can do that effectively as a man, but as a person in general, and you have all of the other areas of life kind of figured out, or you're figuring them out, the right person is just going to be just naturally attracted to you. You kind of get on the right energy level as somebody else, and when they come into your life and you go out a couple of times, you guys are just like, you just hit it off. You see how many times that happens where, somebody's just really locked in for a little period of time, and they end up going and they end up meeting someone just really quickly. And not always will it be that fast, but all times the connection will be that fast. And they will see, wow, this person is what I'm looking for. And that's best done, I would say, during the learning phase. Because at the end of the learning phase, let's say you are now done with college and you're done with whatever training. In my case, I'll use as a pilot. Because of the type of flight school I'm doing, I'm going to be at 1,500 hours when I finish instructing and everything. And I'll already have been married for about a year and a half when that happens. But at the end of that, here I am thinking, you know what? Now I'm entering my earn phase. And earn is such a beautiful time, because now that you've learned everything and you know what it is that you like to do, and now you're efficient at it, you just enter into the workplace. And whatever capacity that is, whether you want to be an entrepreneur and start a business, or do you want to be a pilot or a doctor or an engineer or a teacher, whatever it is that motivates you and whatever value you're going to give to the world, the earn stage is when all of that kind of comes to a head. And let me just say this. Let me give my 2 cents on something that I think a lot of people are kind of blind to right now. We are at a stage where knowledge has never ever been more cheap or accessible. Whether it's AI or Google or your local library or Apple Books or podcasts, wherever you get your knowledge, it is just so abundant, okay? If you want to learn how to start a business and all of the tiny little ins and outs of that, you learn sales, you learn marketing, you learn lead follow-up, you learn sending invoices, you learn everything from like running a small service business to running a marketing agency, whatever it is, right? You can learn these things in, again, a matter of weeks to a matter of months. You can learn how to code completely by yourself on YouTube. People have done it. One of my buddies learned how to code back during COVID and happened to hit a hiring boom of a very large airline and was in charge of like a bunch of their software and and with how well he did, he knew people in the industry and he switched over and worked for some other contractors and stuff for a while. This guy was 21 years old making high 6 figures just because of the time he took to learn how to code on YouTube by himself, okay? I want you to know that your path, whatever it is, whatever you discover you want to do, is so insanely accessible, more so now than ever. And people complain about the job market and they complain about the economy. People love to complain. People love to say, this is the worst time in history that we've ever lived. The government doesn't know what they're doing. We're all going to get cooked, yada, yada. They've said that in every generation. I'm going to be honest. And with the rise of new technology, yes, there's always going to be corruption. Yes, there's always going to be exceptions. Overall, people are good. People are wanting to do right by themselves and by their families. And I think that's still true in 2026. And I think even more powerful is all of this technology and things are getting constantly released means that the bar is a little lower and the access points are better than ever. How many people do you know that are actually willing to put in consistent work for 6 to 18 months on something like a YouTube channel or a small business or their school that actually like won't just kind of like throw everything in chat and just make it easy for themselves? How many people do you know that are actually dedicated? That's something that ties into dating as well, by the way, which like more and more so because people are just like desperate and on their phones all the time and let themselves get terribly out of shape and they don't have any goals for the future. They don't have any plans. They haven't done anything. Because more so than ever, that's always happening. When you do find somebody else that's kind of on your same wavelength where you guys are figuring it out, but you're not just going to like stay there and just complain all the time and just be like a negative Nancy, you realize, wow, I like am clearly attracted to this person and this person to me because we have in common this goal to make things better, to make life better, to push ourselves. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. So what I would say is